Trishki, but no, you didn't. So,
Sorry.
It's okay. But, so yeah, this guy, Steve Martin, had moved down to Florida already and was very successful working at a high-end hotel as a valet, making like $150 a day, and was, renting in a condo with a couple of other valet dudes, and they were living high on the high life. So I'm like, I could do that. We quit school, and I quit school, I should say, because when I went with Al and Brian, and they had already graduated that prior year. So over the summer, everybody's like, they didn't go down there until I think it was September. Yeah, and instead of going to school, I quit. And then I just I'm sorry, they left in October, that's right, because I did go to school in September, and I knew they were going in October, and I just said, this is it, I'm not staying here, I'm getting out of this prison. So I went into the vice principal's office, and I said, do I need my parents' permission to quit school? And he had a huge smile on his face. Well, you're 16, aren't you? Yes, I am. Well, then no, you don't. Do you want to quit? Yes, I do. Well, let me get the forms. He brought them out. Within a couple of minutes, I was presented with the papers that I needed to sign. Signed those papers, and he said, oh, and don't let me catch you on our property. So I said, why would I come back here? And that was it, and I didn't. I went to my locker. He said, excuse me, just sit right here for a second. He had some student, and okay, go to your locker, and I was escorted by the student, clear out your locker, and then I was told I had to exit the closest door to the end of the hallway, and out the door I went. I just looked back and I went, oh my God, I did it. I can't believe it. It was 1 month into grade 10, and I was like, this is the best decision I've ever made. I went home, and I said, Mom, she goes, what are you doing here? I said, Mom, I quit school today. You did not. I said, I did. She goes, you can't just quit school. You need my permission. I said, well, apparently I don't. As of 16 years old, I can do that, and I did that. I signed the papers in the vice principal's office, and I was escorted off the property, and I can't go back. Oh my God, David. What are you going to do? Oh my God, your dad is going to flip. Oh my God, not flip. Your dad is going to kill you, I think is what she said. And then I said, well, I'm going to Florida. How are you going to Florida? With what are you going to Florida? I said, well, I was working over the summer at Kmart, and I had a little bit of money, and I said, I've got a little bit of money, I'm going to go down there, I'm going to start working, I'm going to be a valet, or I'm going to work at whatever, and I don't care. She's like, well, what do you mean? You just can't work down there. I said, yes, I can. Steve Martin already did. Steve Martin, who, the comedian? I said, no, Mom, not the comedian, a guy from high school. He's already down there. He's working as a valet. He's making $150 cash a day, living the high life. Does he have his grade 12? Oh, yeah. Well, that's probably how he got his job, David. You don't even have your grade 12. No one's even going to hire you. I said, Mom, I'm not going down there as a job for Dave Verge. I'm going down there. I'll make up a name. I'm making up a fake social security number. You don't think I'm going to say I have a fake grade 12? Well, you've thought this through, haven't you? When are you leaving? I said, I don't know. Soon. And within a few weeks, I remember them pulling up in front of the house. And my mom, she gave me $200. And, by that point, it was acceptance. You're going to Florida. Oh, my God. oh my God, hug, and this is a big thing, and you be safe. And we're pulling out of there in a car that actually had a cracked block in the engine. And we knew that. That's kind of how it went the whole time. Brian's always telling me to take a break.
Okay. How'd you get through the border okay?
We got through the border okay, not a problem. And I remember the trip. It was really exciting. I was in the back seat, and, you know, the car was all packed up. It was a little Toyota Corolla. And, you know, we were pretty snug in the car, and Al and Brian both had their license, so they'd take turns driving. And I remember the trip being over pretty fast. It might have taken us a couple of days. I don't even remember, but it was over what seemed pretty fast. And we hit Florida, and I remember the sign here, "Welcome to Florida," and I'm like, wow, this is the start of a new life, you know. Meanwhile, I had already smoked the hash that I had, and I already basically had very little money left because, I mean, you know, we had truck stops on the way down, and you had to pitch in for gas on the way down, and they're like, so how much money you have? Well, $80. $80. That's all you've got. Yeah, $80. So that's good for the first couple of days, but then, you know, what are you going to do? I said, don't worry, I'll figure it out. Well, that didn't really happen very easily. But we did end up getting a job, and we did manage to do okay, but yeah, I was totally ill-prepared, and, you know, had to rely on their hospitality, and I was lucky they did that. I was lucky they helped me out there, and gave me a little bit of money, and helped me get through that little period of time until we figured out how to get jobs and all that stuff. So,
what kind of jobs did you get down there?
Well, the first job that we ended up getting was at a car wash. It was like a high-end car wash where girls in bikini tops and shorts were drying the cars on the outside. And, you know, our job was to get in the car and squirt it down and wipe the dashboard while it's going through a car wash. And the customers could watch their car going through as they had a beverage and whatever.
Oh, that's kind of neat.
Yeah. And so that lasted for a little while. But I remember the owner, it was a woman, and then her son, Jack. I remember his name, but I don't remember hers. And she was very mean. But, I mean, you know, she just found out that we were Canadian kids making up a fake social security number, which was our phone number. And then we just added 2 digits on the end. That's how we could remember what our social security number was. You know, we just fired it off, 752804910.
And that got you
That
a job?
got on the application. And then, so we started working, and then I guess she found out whatever. They got back to her and said no such number, or doesn't match, or whatever. And then I guess I think he came up and said something. So guys, you're not from here, or something. You're not from Florida. Where are you from? And then we just panicked and said Ohio or something. And he said, look, guys, yeah, this isn't going to work. And then she came out and just started yelling at us, like, how dare you put us in a position of liable? You get off this property, you're not going to be paid. And we needed that money. It was really important. We needed to eat. So he paid us.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, he said, here, he paid us in cash and said, just go, you know, and good luck to you guys, you know.
So he had more of an understanding.
He was a younger guy. He was in his 30s, and I think he'd probably been around a little bit. His mom was a bit hoity-toity, you know, drove a Cadillac. One of the examples of how she really was, these 2 elderly women, I don't know where they were from, but they were driving like a Cadillac through, and you drive the car up only to a certain point, and then the car wash clicks in, and then you get out of your car. These poor women didn't know what to do, and they drove the car too far, and it drove it right down into the pits. It went through the little...
Oh, no.
And they were stuck, and their car was like down in the front end like this, and these two old ladies were in their 80s.
Oh, no.
And they're like,
Poor
whoa.
thing.
And she was like, what are you doing, you stupid old ladies? What are you
Oh,
even
no.
driving for? She might have been in her 60s, and they're in her 80s, eh? Oh, I felt so bad for them, and they didn't say anything, like really, nothing. They were helped out of their car by us, and, you know, like taken...
Aw.
And we did get their car out.
Really?
Oh, yeah,
Wow.
we got it out. We
cool.
did, yeah. You know, 3 or 4 big guys on the front of the car. And then what we had is the 2 girls and somebody else. They sat on the back of the car.
Oh, that's neat. Yeah, okay.
And then somebody else was in the driver's seat. So we just basically got the car kind of up and rocking a little bit, and it caught.
Got the back wheels to
yeah.
catch.
Yeah, because it was a big Cadillac.
Wow. Those poor old ladies.
Yeah, but she was just a mean woman. She wasn't a happy woman. And then from after that, we went and got a job working in a nursery in a landscape company. It was a big grove. They grew oranges and all kinds of things. We started out working for them in the orange grove, and actually working in what they would call the factory, which wasn't really a factory. It was just kind of like almost a carport built off of an aluminum building, so you were kind of outside. And then they had these washer and waxer system where the oranges were loaded on, and then they would go into the waxer, and you just had to kind of take out the ones that didn't look good or weren't big enough and green or whatever, and that goes out, and then they're going up the conveyor, and then they get washed first, and then waxed, and then they got to be loaded onto the truck.
So they're waxed to what? To give them a better color?
Just shine.
The shine. So they look better.
And they stay better longer, because it actually seals the pores of the orange.
Okay.
So it'll last a little longer. So anything that's like, you know, and actually, if I'm not mistaken, and I'd have to think about this, but I think they were green. I don't think they were orange. I don't think they were. I think they were, if not green, they weren't orange for sure. They weren't totally ripe.
They're supposed to ripe on the truck.
Right. Yeah. They do.
Okay. Cool. Cut.
From the orange factory, you know, what we went with Paco. Paco was, he spoke perfect English. He was Mexican, as were most of the people who worked there. But Paco was the lead hand. And he was a young dude, maybe in his 20s, mid-20s, and he'd been working there since 8, 9 years old. And so, yeah, he, you know, was the lead hand, and you guys are coming with me, and, you know, he took us out basically on a tractor crew that goes out, and you basically just pull the tractor along as the pickers are picking. We weren't pickers. Pickers, that's pretty dangerous, apparently. They get bit by the little coral snakes that are in the orange trees.
Ooh. So they probably make good money.
They make, well, it's all volume, you know. But yeah, you aren't a picker unless you know how to pick. Right. But you know, I remember just like last week they took off, you know, Geraldo to the hospital. I don't know what his name was, but he was bit by a coral snake.
Are they poisonous?
Oh, highly
oh, really?
Poisonous. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So did you ever encounter any of those?
I personally did not.
Lucky then.
But I do have a snake story.
Okay.
As I was working on a potting machine, what that is, and there's all sorts of little stations. They had, I don't know how many hundreds of acres of land, and they had orange trees. They had, you know, whatever, like this kind of tree would be a certain kind of tree. They have like hundreds of those types of trees, not necessarily this big, but, you know, say 4 or 5 feet. You know, the ones that you'd go and buy in a store.
Yes.
Okay, so they'd have 400 or 500 of those, and, you know, then you'd get an order, and you'd have to go with the crew on a tractor with a flatbed trailer. You'd go to the section of the nursery where that type of tree was located, and load up the trailer with the number of things they need. So that was kind of cool. And but my story is the potting station. I was working on the potting station, and my job was to take these big rows of pots, and just buy the row, which would be 50 pots. You pick them up like this, and you put them onto the potting machine, and they'd go down the conveyor belt, and then it would separate them one at a time, filling them with dirt, and then it would go out, whatever. So I pick up this row of pots, and I look, and there's a snake. I swear to God, it's as big as this stick. It's just laying there, just laying there. Whoa! I drop the pots, and I'm freaking right out. I'm jumping like I'm up in the air, jumping in hysterics. Whoa! The Mexican guys are laughing. They're laughing. And I said, what's so funny, man? A snake could have killed me. And they're like, it's not poisonous. It's a king snake. It actually eats and kills poisonous snakes.
Oh.
It doesn't maybe eat them, but it does kill them.
Okay, cool.
So they're good to have. You want to have those. Don't worry about those snakes.
It's still a snake, though.
It freaked me out. It was like 4 feet long. This snake was about that long. It was about that thick, too. And it was pure black.
Wow, black. Wow, scary.
And another story with a snake, we had bicycles. And we were riding home from work one day, and Al Greathead was one of my friends that I'd gone down there with. I'm going this way, and I said, all right, I'll go this way, and we'll meet up, because he goes this way, and I went this way, and we were supposed to meet up at an intersection. So as I got to the intersection, he wasn't there, and I looked down the road to the left, and I see him. He's on the side of the road, but he's standing off to the side of his bike, and he's going like this with his tire. What the hell's he doing? So I ride my bike down there, and he's like, check this out, man. And I see this snake. It's about maybe, a foot long, maybe. And it's as skinny as a pencil. And its head is sharp. I say it looks like a pencil because its head was like a sharpened pencil. It was pointed. And it was a green snake, and had a pointed head, and it kept trying to bite Al's tire.
Oh.
And he was going like this with the tire, and every time he went like this, the snake would just bite the tire. He's like, check that out, man. That's crazy. This thing's wild. And it would try to get away, but it couldn't move on the sand.
Oh, it couldn't. Okay.
It couldn't get it. It wasn't going anywhere. It would try to move, and it couldn't get anywhere. I think it was a water snake. It was
okay.
But I have never